Maybe we begin if you would just speak a little bit about the essence of Kabbalah.
Okay. It's difficult to speak about an essence that has a long history in the unseen. So the essence of it reveals itself in a very particular way in people who actually became vessel for it. It became communicative only in the last few years, because usually Kabbalah was set in very close circles by people who were very committed, who took very strict vows in order to be able to keep it, actually, to be the keepers of this body of knowledge and light for our generation, which is called the last generation. Last generation, it's a long period of about 250 years, but we are the beginners, we're the pioneers. We refer to Baal HaSulam as the person who gave us the key to open the essence of it, in terms of it's not as other method, human development method. It's human evolution. It means that you have to break the line of your development, to break your language, to shatter it, actually, in order to be able to come together to find. It's not about the essence, it's about the action of force in changing you, and then giving you the words, the letters of not only a new perception of reality, but a new reality. This is the core meaning of the word Israel, Israel. This is what being waited for. We were trained to wait successfully. So the essence of it is waiting successfully. And then it's time for allowing what is coming to not to be present, actually, but it can be present only through human being, or actually prepare to give their life in service of it. So the other essence of it is service. But we learn it from trying to be with it, and it escapes us. And then here is the word. It transfers itself through the agreement not to understand, and to agree to the limitation of your thinking, perception, not in terms that other method can refine your sensory perception, your thinking, your compassion. It's actually changing your sensory perception with spiritual perception, spiritual senses, which is, it's not a given, it's not a birthright. It's a commitment, it's a devotion, and it's a choice of every moment. So other essence, another name for the essence of it is choice. This is for starter.
Great. And so you said about what I understood you to say is that there's like a fundamental change that occurs.
Yes.
And that somehow that's not so easy, that it goes against our nature in some way. Could you
Absolutely.
say more about this?
Yeah. I think Baal HaSulam had a very simple but precise, penetrating definition, that our nature is the will to receive. It's like two words that encompass a lot of action that actually, many times we deceive ourselves to think that we are givers, but we're actually takers, very sophisticated takers, very refined takers, but takers nonetheless. Because this is our nature, this is how we were created. So why do you go against how we were created? Because we were created to be able to define that this is our jail, and we want to transfer this nature into being a benefactor, to the will to give. And the will to give belongs to God, not to us. So actually, the offer of Kabbalah is becoming a partner to God. And it puts, for us, for our cynical, non-believer's mind, and the question of faith back on the table, and the definition of it. Because we used to think, at least from the 18th century, we are brought to think that faith is for the not so smart, they're not so sophisticated, they're not so knowledgeable. And actually, Baal HaSulam puts us to us that faith is the tool of evolution, the only tool of evolution. It means that you recognize the limitation of the nature of human beings as they are in the course of history where it took them, and they come to a point to choose to want to be different. And therefore, they have to put faith on the table back, because faith is not something that you think that someone will solve it for you or someone else knows and you don't, because you don't know. It's because you know. Because you know something deeply about the nature of yourself, you're willing to take the leap. Therefore, faith is a tool of evolution, not of development. It's not expanding, refining what you are. It's actually fundamental change in everything, in the way you see, in the way you think about things, and you don't have the tools. You realize you don't have the vessels, like you don't have spiritual senses. Spiritual senses are spheres, and you have to grow to ask that something will imprint you with these abilities in order to be able to function inside a spiritual world. So it's not about expanding into a universal knowledge. Universe is rocks, mostly. We're speaking about some worlds that actually were not opened, or were opened by only few people. And they are open now for humanity. So Kabbalah in 21st century is the hope for humanity. And that's how we can see the fundamental change that we are invited into. So what's the means and ways about it is something that we feel we know. It's learning and studying. How learning and studying, how words can change you. If words manage to break you, and you are devoted enough to go through being broken. That's it. Because Ari, or the Luriani Kabbalah, is teaching us that this is the way the worlds unfold, by breaking. By breaking, because it was not compatible. So the moment we reach the point of truth in ourselves that we are not compatible, so then we are ready, not in one go, little by little, to be broken. So It asks for nothing, it demands everything. That's about it. Yeah.
I would love to understand more the word faith, because I think it has many probably wrong meanings, and I think you're using it in a very special way. I would love to understand more how you mean the word faith.
Faith is the language that God speaks. So it's a language. It's the whole perception of Kabbalah of language, of letter and words, that inside them there is specific power that we lost. It's a power to create. We speak. We don't. Our words do not create. So faith is a language in which we the nature of us is creating our new identity. Our identity is spirit, not as a soul and ego. And spirit, when it speaks, its language is faith. So it's a language, faith. It's not a description of a feeling. It's actually a higher mind. So if I reach in my feeling that my limitation, I ask for a higher mind. Mind is not a good word. For higher maybe perception, for lack of word. In Hebrew I can do the differentiation of between, and what we do is an insight, and we're being conceived into a perception. This is the...
That's beautiful.
Okay. So perception is coming from higher. If we have the right vessel, the right language, we conceive it, and then we can have an insight into the new reality, in what is real, into what is real. So this is faith. So it's work of knowing till it reaches its limitation, and then it needs help from something higher. So the definition is it's a very dangerous quicksand, the word God, because it's so full of violent connotation.
It's a very difficult word.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So this is why in Hebrew it has many names. In each state is a name of God. So you can see the state of law of nature. It has the name of God, of Elohim. The nature of mercy, the nature of benefactor, the nature of infinity. It all has different names that actually describe not what God is, the action of this power upon you. Never, ever in Kabbalah you speak about God itself, because you don't know. So in Kabbalah you don't speak about what you don't know and what you cannot feel. So when you say God, I'm not speaking about an abstract entity. I'm speaking about what I feel is acting upon me. So it's not the light, it's the action of light upon you. This is the name of God, the name of the action. This I name in the different names of God. So it's not departed from the experience of the human being, but it's a very particular experience. And it's a termed experience. It has boundaries, conditions. You either accept, not only accept, comply. But you have to choose to comply. But your only choice is to comply. You can choose not to, but the choice is to comply to the environment or not. And the spiritual environment is actually made of a rabbi or a teacher, a group of agreement, and places of a revelation, which we call books. So the three of them, actually you either comply, obey, and allow it to give you shapes like fetus. So you agree to go back into the womb, consciously. Not like you've been, so it needs at least a certain amount of importance that you will know that you will comply. So this is the tricky bit. Yeah, this is the process of actually going into it with open heart and closed eyes. It's always holding opposite in one thing. You have to always in Kabbalah hold two opposite in one thing. So you have to go with your eyes closed and your heart open. And then they break your heart.
Were you already answering one of my questions about what does it mean to study? How do we study? And also, like, what is the work that a Kabbalah student really does?
Okay. This is, I think, one of the other revolutions of because it's very easy and it's happening to study Kabbalah as a scholar. You have a body of knowledge, and you can treat it as in religious studies. You study Kabbalah, as in they have the title Jewish mysticism, or with the influences on Christianity, but a little bit on Muslims, but nothing to do with that. So learning, maybe with the word learn I can play. It's earning the knowledge of your languishing. So our perception is more, my perception is more to do with the level of animals, of fauna, in terms of my natural reaction, of my wishes, of my domination. And learning is rising above to not a level, to an arena that the power of the light is willing to descend to. So learning is always finding a mutuality of me finding my limitation and wanting to rise above, and therefore asking help, and then the help comes as me knowing not something, me knowing how to step the next step. You must probably have seen films where people are walking, and usually science fiction. When people are walking, they don't know where they're going to put their leg, their foot. But when they do it, something appears, and this is learning.
Right.
So you have to stand in yourself in a place that you have no choice. That you know that you cannot go backwards, you don't want to go backwards. Though sometimes you wish you never started. You never started this journey. I assure everyone who take it seriously that they will have this thought. I wish I never started it. I was much better before.
We'll come to it.
Why did I need it?
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, what is it that what's the first wake up? How do you see that?
First wake up is is easy to transfer the feeling, it's very difficult to explain. It has a name. It's called, we can say, a dot in your heart. But what actually it means that it's fermenting you. It's actually causing you to move out of your comfortable zone, whatever. It causes you to see that most things are meaningless. It in a way opens you a slit of perception of that is very dark, like a dose of reality. Now, if we look at the inner nature of it, is basically, it's called in Kabbalah, apart from God above, in you. That is, it's your time to awake, to be awakened, and to do your service. So, it doesn't play a fair and equal game to the mind of human beings, because everyone would like to think that they have a spirit, but they don't. It awakens in a certain time when you are called into service. Now, what the first who are called into service are called Israel, not because they are genetically born to Israelis or to Jewish heritage, but because of this part. So they can be Muslims, they can be Christians, they can be Hindus, they can be Buddhist. So it doesn't matter. It's a timing. It's humanity timing in the eyes, in the perception of what we call the Creator or the thought of creation. So they are called. Now they have a choice to react, to respond, meaning to take responsibility for it or not. And if not, it will move to another person. So this is what starts you looking for something that can actually support it and give it life. Because if you don't give it the right nourishment, the right environment, it sort of dims down. Yeah. So I'm saying it's easy to transfer the feeling. It's very difficult to explain. Yeah.
And you spoke about the rabbi, the study
group
together,
yeah,
and the books.
Yeah.
And is there also, like in your daily life, when you go out into the world, how is the practice?
The practice is understanding that you cannot practice outside in the beginning. But you can practice longing for it in everything that you do. You can practice a different level of understanding of your corporal life, how actually all its happening serves the moment that you come into the environment. You have to go out. In Kabbalah you have to go out because you have to include yourself with people's life, with people who worry, with people in need. Otherwise you're not worthy of tikkun. And tikkun is not amending. Tikkun is constructing. You know that mostly tikkun is translated into correction or amending something. That no, it's taking what was broken and actually constructing something different, a different vessel, a different. And the vessel is being constructed by the group who has an inner agreement that this is what they actually want, that they are able to receive if the words that will initiate them into the possibility of it, and by extracting it from, you say books. In Hebrew it's sefer, it's similar to spheres. So it means that sefer is part of the body of God in the way it relates to human. So it's not a book. So maybe we need another words. It's a live body that is dead for people who want to scholarly learn it, and it's alive for people who actually treat it as a live body of change.
Maybe it sounds more like they're agents rather than books. Like agents.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to activate it. When I'm saying that Baal HaSulam gave us keys, is key how to activate ourselves, the books, and the teacher as part of the components of our evolution. So this is snippets that I can ask.
So I would love to ask you also about the fact that you're a female rabbi, Rabbah, and how you understand the role of the feminine now, because I think in a lot of different ways people are talking about the profound need for a feminine agency in the world. So I wonder how you relate to this.
Well, until recently it was not, I could not find a male teacher who was willing to teach me, apart from my teacher, but he was departed already, so I could persuade something different, which is not cultural convention. But this is apart from the person. The feminine part in Kabbalah is called Shechina. The feminine part is the part that is able to feel creation. It's able to feel the need of creation. Is able to actually, it's the flexible part that can change its position from low to high, from service to denial. It has the power of denial, like a womb, and the power to grow at the same time. So a feminine part is the leadership of evolution, because it has the power to deny intrusion and enough nourishment to grow something new. So even in Kabbalah, which is called Malchut or Shechina, this is the power of the last generation. So I am the pioneer of many more to come. But it needed to be. It's not a personal aspiration of breaking the glass wall of men teaching Kabbalah. It's a need of the time. It's a need of a different leadership, which is not excluding men. It's including them, but inside the capacity of bringing out in them the feminine sensitivity of keepers and service. So we need them both. Ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen and ladies.
Beautiful, thank you. Can you say more about this very strong phrase, the last generation? What does this mean?
It's coming into a sensitive perception of time. How Kabbalah perceives time time is a sequence of invitation of the Creator to its createe, a sequence of periodical cycles of invitation for evolution, for being what they need to be, for being what they can be. So when we say 6,000 years of human consciousness about it themselves and development, we speak in Kabbalistic terms about the qualities and the sense that they have to develop in this period of or sequence of invitation. Because in Hebrew, Zman, time, is invite, to invite. So I can say that from many generations, the Creator was knocking on our door and we weren't at home. So now it's not in terms of knocking on our door, it's in terms of putting our world in such an upheaval, so we have to listen. This is the sign of last generation. The sign of last generation is a sign that there's no one safe, nowhere secure, that the sense of mutuality or the need of mutuality is very deep, but it's running away from us. The ability to actually get into mutuality. Though we know we're so dependent on each other, we don't know the language of how, and the inner behavior and the inner feeling that actually can make it real. So this is what Kabbalah teaches us, last generation, because we are the last chance to hear the invitation and to actually do it in an agreement way. In agreement is this, I'm looking for the word. In a covenant way. Yeah. The interrelation between the Creator in all its name with human is always covenant. And this is coming back to teaching and learning. It's only when you have covenant. If you don't have a covenant, you are not able to actually transfer or transmute. So last generation is a calling, is a last calling for coming into the covenant, in agreeing, in choosing, in a way of choosing. It's not threatening, saying what will happen if not. I believe we will. So if not is not a question. We will. Yes. I'm here that we will win. Yeah.
Is there a place, or what is the place of prayer in Kabbalah? What does it mean to pray?
To incriminate yourself, to find the way that I'm actually trying to steal spirituality into my own benefit. And when I don't succeed, I try to kill my spirituality. That I feel that I'm more important than a mission that is offered. So, the first standard of prayer is actually knowing yourself at a given moment, and then hoping that something will change you, that something will help you, and there is something that will help you. There is something that is or next to you, in your partner to the group. There's something in the power of the nature that brought you to be able to witness this in yourself. This can help you. So prayer is a combination of those two powers. And then there is a different level. So prayer is actually what we are left with in order to say we heard the invitation. And it's prayer. So it's a process of work, of work. I don't have a different word for it now. I'll have to find new words.
I think it's coming. It's great. Yeah. And perhaps just to say something about Bala Sulam and the line and how you came to Bala Sulam, who he was.
First, I cannot speak much about it. I am a student. I am his only lady student. I did not choose him. But I comply, I obey. I serve. That's it. He's my teacher. Or to be like that, he's my rabbi. So now it has a different meaning. Rabbi, it means that he is very important to my life. That's what makes someone rabbi. That the importance of the presence of him in my life is important as my breath, and not metaphorically. So this is, I think he's really the person who opened for the whole world. He said he gave a ladder, but he gave way and possibility for us, for me, and for everyone to actually enter the arena of this invitation, to be able to hear it and to know the order of what the processes that we will meet and how to be in them in order to be able to actually serve this invitation. So I don't think there was another Mekubal except Ari and Azohar, but we were not able to use them if he did not only open, but like he did some genetic engineering in our perception to allow us actually to hear what many generations did not hear in what they were saying. So I really don't think that he's valued enough, but I don't think he wants to be valued enough till his mission will succeed. Yeah. So I think he was running away from it. So it's a key spirit in our generation. Each generation has its key figure. So for our generation, it's Bala Sulam, no doubt.
And what's the relationship between you as a rabbi and your students? How is this relationship?
Relationship is there is two-term language in Kabbalah that speaks about the surrounding light and the inner light. They need to want, so I can be activated as a surrounding light. Surrounding light in Kabbalah is the light that holds the plan of development, the plan of evolution, the plan of change. If they really want it, if they really need it, it pours itself into them. If they don't, it stays out and just hover around until they will be ready. So, Rabbi does not make himself Rabbi, its pupil makes him Rabbi. They make me Rabbi. I'm not.
And the inner light, can you say more about the inner light?
It's everything that sought you out in terms of choice, in terms of what are the processes that are needed, gives you life and ability to go on, to feel more, to understand more. This is inner light. It's your inner processes as a spirit, not as a soul. Your spirit can use your soul as matter. We eat those. If we will ask the consciousness whether they prefer to grow and to die without being of service to something, they would say no, because they are fully in service to something. So their inner light is being full to what they were designed to be. Only us, human, we're not yet. Okay? So inner light is what enables you to grow into your fullness. But it always depends on the surrounding light to feed your next step. Yes.
So is there anything else you would like to speak about? Is there anything you can think? Or Alice?
Well, maybe Alice. I think she's more... I'm good. The relationship with soul and the light and the Shekhinah and these terms that... yeah, but maybe...
Okay. Each form of life, is an expression of the volume and strength of light that found or painted, created the form around it, that it can best express itself through it. So the amount of light in here created this form because this is the best way that the light in it can express itself in its relation to the outside and its relation to itself. So soul of soul, what is called in Kabbalah, is what the form of it is our ego and our physical body and our senses and our aspirations and families and feelings and whatever. All our world is coming from what is called a very slim, thin light, Nehir Dakik, that actually gives us existence in all its dramas. Okay? When this part of the Creator, part of God, part of the nature of the benefactor is arising in us, soul is not enough to actually maintain and give expression, because we're speaking about a spirit. So the first level of the spirit will be a soul that belongs to the spirit, meaning that serves it, and it can take it from the expression of existence, but it needs then, you don't have a word for it in English, ruach, which is geist or pneuma in Greek, and then you have the level of spirit, neshama, and then you have another level which is chaya and yichida. Okay? It's no translation. There's no. Let's call it chaya and yichida and stay with it. So, Shekhinah is when spirits were born, they were born as one body connected. We can say sort of a form that of one body that has all its parts connected. This form has gone through breaking down as well, which is called the falling of the limbs. In parts of this body being separated from the consciousness of being one body. So a spirit that is arising here inside an ego, inside an expression of a body, is actually rising to the memory of where it belongs to where it belongs to. And the name of it is called Shekhinah. Why? Because only in this connected body of consciousness, not of ego consciousness, of spirit consciousness, God is willing to dwell. It's called the dwelling place of the light. So when we awaken with the memory that we belong to this body, all our tikkun works, all our construction is to be part of this, to go back home, to go back to be able to be the dwelling place of the light, which is a different reality. It's a different construction spirit than a soul of soul. So this is the connection. So you need to create the model of the connection. Your group is the model of connection that is mirroring what your memory. And only when you try to create those connections in terms of real mutuality, of reliability to not to yourself, to others, you're actually able to be confirmed as a spirit. So this is it clear? Yeah.
One more question, if we may. You spoke a little bit about the uniqueness of Baal HaSulam, but if you had to characterize its most prominent contribution to our generation, you spoke about the last generation, what would be that?
First, that he managed to clean and purify the term Kabbalah from all its mystical bullshit and mistreating, misunderstanding, that from its classification into the section of the weird people that dealing with it. And he really made it a challenge for each thinking and feeling person. This is a huge work. He made it available for educated to non-educated people to feel the importance of their life. To feel the importance of their life from wherever they're coming, that they thought of. They belong to something which is really much more important than any cultural reality can offer them. And as well offer them a way and an order and a house and ways and people that will allow them to achieve it. No one before that did it. So it's an open invitation.
Can you also go ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm interested to know how, because I do a lot of work with people, and many people come from very difficult backgrounds, like trauma and different difficulties.
Yeah.
How does that, is that an obstacle, or how is the healing that takes place?
It's the ultimate healing, spirituality. But if you come in order to be healed and not in order to heal, it will not work. It can give meaning to your trauma. It can give meaning to, but still, I say, if you come to the journey of spirituality, take a pill against headache, and don't expect spirituality to cure your headache. You have to take care of your physical body in the best way you know, whether it's from healing to operation. It's a base. Spirituality does not come to serve your well-being, but absolutely it can give you a well-being that you never knew. But it's a different way of it. Yeah. It will not allow users.
Consumers.
Yeah.
We're in a big consumer
It can
society.
stay a while, but first I will kick it out, and then it will kick it out.
You think this is really important?
Yeah. It's not for users. We are coming all users to it. Not to think that we are not, but we're willing to admit that we're users, and we want and we ask and we pray to change it.
Right.
Yeah. And then when we discover that we still use, we pray to change it. But you cannot stay with the attitude of give me something that will make me feel good in my current corporal life, because it's not its purpose. Its purpose is to take you away from it. It's to elevate you. It's to evolve you. So, not to expect from Kabbalah to solve not our family and not our health issues. You're capable enough to do it in many ways. Yeah.
Right. I think this
I'm sorry that I took the...
No, this is actually, I think you're answering my first question.
Yeah.
What's the essence of Kabbalah?
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah.
really essential.
It's usually a long way for a short answer.
But I think it's so important.
It is very
because
important.
everyone is trying to use spirituality to feel better.
Yeah.
Many people.
Yeah, I think that spirituality is here to serve the quality of our ego life. It isn't.
So what I hear you saying is that it's breaking.
Yeah.
It's really breaking a whole perception of reality and a whole way of living.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. So people who sit here are very courageous. So if you ask what I respect the daring spirit.
Right.
Yeah. and the fact that they can carry gracefully the breaking. To have a deep respect for people who stay in the way.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
אבל בכל רם שישמעו אותם
we are trying to deny death in our culture. Could you please say a few words about how Kabbalah is, what's the attitude towards
I think Israel is using death as a social power. It's a power or we use death as a power of unity. We stand together for death. So it's an opposition of a root. Root in Kabbalah is not what is actually coming from below. It's our source above. Okay. So death is coming from above as a means to save us from ourselves, as a means to save us from wasting our opportunity of eternity. So it's our savior, death. But to feel it and to congratulate it, you cannot celebrate it as something that you unify around it. You have to understand why it saves you and why and how you need to overcome the reason from what it tries to save you from. Then you can say, I beat death. Then dying is changing a shirt. This is how Kabbalah would look at death. Yeah. But it has many levels, like anything in Kabbalah, at least 10 levels in each perception, but this is what the way you ask me turns up.